everyone, and welcome back to College Chronicles, the podcast where we bring inspiring stories, powerful insights, and stories of leaders who are shaping business and education world. Today, we have with us someone who perfectly blends real-world wisdom and classroom brilliance. A professor, mentor, strategist, and a global corporate leader with over 2 decades of experience. He has lived and worked across multiple nations, navigated global crisis, led teams, and chosen to bring all that back experience into the classroom. So let's welcome Professor Arup Majumdar. Welcome to the show, sir. So you have a fascinating educational background, a BTech in Mechanical Engineering from IIT Kanpur and an MBA in Marketing from IIM Ahmedabad. So how does this academic foundation shape your worldview and eventually your career path?
Both of these institutions have students who are very brilliant, very hardworking and very competitive. So when you have a educational background which takes you through these portals, what you learn is a lot from your peer group, and in the process you also contribute to the overall class learning. So I think the amount of knowledge that I gained from my peer group and from my brilliant faculties, I think that shaped a lot of what I thought about how my career is going to shape up in the future.
Okay, sir. So moving on, what inspired your shift from corporate life to becoming an educator now?
In my corporate life, I went through different phases. In the first phase, it was focused on more learning and I went through a rapid learning path. In the second phase of my career, I worked on how to generate growth, the top line growth. In a situation where the markets were very much against us, for example, I went to the Asian financial crisis, the SARS epidemic in Hong Kong. So the headwind was very strong. But then how to create growth in that market was something I learned over a period of 10 years. Then I started working on the bottom line, that how do you generate profit. Then in the third phase, I worked on both growth and profit. And having gone through this corporate journey of growth, profit, which are the major hot buttons in corporate, I decided that it might be better for me to translate my learning to the classroom, to my students. So when they enter into their career, they'll have a head start on how to actually succeed in a corporate life.
Okay. So you have taught at institutions like Shiv Nadal, BM Vanjal University, IMT Ghaziabad, and now UPS. So what makes your classroom approach unique?
What is important is to make the classroom a very safe environment for students to express their opinion. So in my class, I always encourage students to speak up their mind and to enter into healthy debates on topics that I discuss in the class, because that is the way you stretch the boundaries of your thought, of your imagination. And in a healthy atmosphere, in a place which is protected in the classroom, if you create that environment, I think that is where ideas can flourish and confidence in the students can be built.
Okay. So what habits do you believe that a student should build up early that pays massive dividends at the end, later on?
I think a positive learning attitude is something which all students should have. That open up your mind, be like a sponge which soaks up knowledge all around you, question the status quo, and don't take things for granted just because somebody tells you that. Go deep into it, try to understand, question, and the more you question, the more you will push the boundaries of knowledge, and that is what will stand you in good stead in your future career.
Okay, sir. So sir, what a student can do in the first year of their MBA that significantly boost their chances of getting a deep job in the second year?
I think one of the most important qualities or skill set that I would encourage students to pick up is on the communication skills.
Okay.
And if I were to quote some of the famous people who have talked about it, Warren Buffett, once he was talking to a CNN reporter and he said that one of the most important qualities students can pick up is communication skill, because remember, you need communication everywhere.
Yes.
You got to excel in communication both in your professional life as well as in your personal life. How you deal with your girlfriend, boyfriend, parents is all communication.
Yes.
So build on your communication skills.
Okay. So which skills are company valuing now the most today beyond CGPA?
Companies are looking at attitude, because one of the major concerns of companies is the attitude of the youngster, because youngsters or the Gen Z is looking at life in a different way than the previous generation. So I think attitude is something which companies are looking for. Companies are looking for a problem-solving mindset, that information or knowledge is everywhere.
Yes.
That is free now. But how to use that knowledge in order to create or to solve a customer's problem, that is what companies are looking for. So having knowledge is not enough. You should be able to translate that knowledge into problem solving. So attitude, problem solving, that is what companies are looking for.
Okay. So business school often means lot of group projects. So sir, what's your advice for like dealing with team conflicts and other things?
In any group, there will always be conflict. But what as a team leader, you got to understand that what are the strengths and of each of your group members. And accordingly, if you are a good leader, you'll be able to channelize the strength of the group in that direction. Typically in group project, what happens that there are 5 questions, each student get to answer 1 question and they feel that and the group project is done. But the way to look at it is to look at the project in terms of the major themes. Somebody does the research, somebody does the analysis, somebody does the synthesis, somebody does the presentation, and each person may not be good at everything, but one person would be good at something. So to be able to figure out who is good at what and to assign him that responsibility and to hold that person accountable, the student accountable to deliver that, that is where a good team output happens.
Okay. So as you talked about leadership, what are like 3 qualities that a good leader should have?
One of the most important qualities of a good leader is to make the other person feel wanted and special. If a good leader makes you or your teammate feel wanted in the group, feel special in the group, and then take out all the barriers which can come in the way for you to achieve what you can truly achieve, that is what a good leader does, is to take away those obstructions or obstacles in the way, motivate that person, and then to celebrate wins, whether it's a small win or it's a big win. To celebrate wins, that is what creates a positive morale in the team.
Okay, sir. So like you write case studies and we know how good at you are at case studies. So sir, what does your process look like when you sit down to write a new case, and like where do the ideas come from?
A case study typically starts with a CXO dilemma. That a CEO of a company is facing a dilemma that he has a business problem, and the business problem could be related to growth, it could be related to profit, human resources, it could be anything, but he has a problem. So when I read in the newspaper or I read a blog or I watch a show or whatever, I see information and I see a CEO is facing a certain problem, I see that can that be translated into a student learning where the students imagine himself that he is the CEO and what would he do. So the germ of the idea always starts with what is the CEO problem, and through that I try to think that what are the learning objectives, that if I create a case study, what would be the learning objective for my student, and based on that I decide the case study.
Okay. So what is the most challenging case that you have written or thought?
One of the interesting cases I would like to talk to you about is about Nike. In 2020, when the COVID phenomenon was happening, a lot of people were going to online purchases, and Nike thought that they needed to move towards more of digital transformation. And they brought in a CEO who had come from a consulting background from one of the MBB firms. And we thought that if it's a CEO who has come in from a consulting background, he'll be able to deliver the result. But what happened that during the period from the time he came till about 4 years he was there, Nike's share prices and valuation continuously dropped. And the question was why? So to understand that dilemma, that why did Nike's performance drop during that period, was an interesting case study on Nike.
Okay. So like we have now come to the end of the question and answer round. We would have a fun round of 5 to 6 questions where you like have to choose something or give a one-word answer. So first is like marketing cases or strategy cases?
Strategy cases.
Classrooms or boardrooms?
Classrooms.
A book you recommend to every student?
It's a convocation address by Professor Clayton Christensen in Harvard in 2010, and the book says, How Will You Measure Your Life?
Okay. Sir, a habit your students would be surprised to know about you?
I work crazy hours.
Okay. The city you would move to instantly if given a chance?
Hong Kong.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for the podcast.
Thanks.
The conversation has been truly inspiring and enriching. From his global experience to crisis leadership stories and his creative approach to teaching strategy to his passion for mentoring students, every insight he shared today is priceless. His journey reminds us that learning never stops, curiosity is everything, and leadership is built through experiences, not titles. To everyone watching, we hope you enjoyed this show. And this is your host signing off. Until next time, keep growing and keep learning.